California Governor Gavin Newsom trying to shift the blame again for skyrocketing cost of living here in California. He's blaming Trump, of course, for an increase in your electricity bills. Coming up, we'll tell you what's about to happen on your electricity bill, how much you're going to be forced to pay, and why Gavin Newsom is the one to blame, not Trump. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state representative. Gavin Newsom is a complete and utter failure. Let's start there. This is a guy whose extreme policies have led to so much pain and suffering for Californians. In particular, it has led to the skyrocketing cost of living in our state. Constant tax increases, but more importantly, costly regulations and mandates that he has backed and imposed on businesses and working families have absolutely been a sucker punch to household budgets. If you look no further to a report called the Cost of California report, it's issued by the the Transparency Foundation, which is focusing on California. They have a study out showing that the average cost of living in California is $28,037.28 higher for a middle-class family of four, the typical middle-class family of four, versus if they were living the average costs for everything in their household budget across the country. So the average cost of gas and food and electricity, getting to that in a moment, electricity, the housing, rent, all that stuff, daycare, healthcare, they took every element of a household budget, took the average cost for a typical family of four nationwide, and then compared it to what an average cost for the family of four was here in the state of California. And in order just to have the same life in California, you pay $28,037.28 more. Who's responsible for that? This is Gavin Newsom. This report has been done every year for the past several years, and every year it's $26,000, $27,000, $28,000 more in costs. Gavin Newsom has no one to blame for that but himself and his cohorts in the California state legislature, who are tax and spend and regulate and mandate out of control zealots. That has been our problem. So when something's about to happen that's bad, Gavin Newsom has to quickly point the finger to someone else because he's running for president. He doesn't want the blame to hit himself. So here is a story from the liberal Sacramento Bee. And the thing about this is, not only is Gavin Newsom a liar, trying to shift the blame for his problems to others, including Donald Trump, but you have the liberal media, like the Sacramento Bee, which is one of the most wretchedly dishonest media outlets. And my friends, there's a lot of competition for wretchedly dishonest media outlets in today's day and age. But the Sacramento Bee really takes it to a new low. Lack of integrity, lack of honesty, where they're just out there wantonly lying and smearing anyone who's lying about things and smearing any Republicans to protect their favored liberal politicians, the Democrats. And so if you are a subscriber to the Fresno Bee, the Sacramento Bee, any of the McClatchy newspapers throughout California, just unsubscribe, defund the left, send a liberal reporter out to a welfare line. An angel gets their wings every time someone unsubscribes. So Sacramento Bee has a story. Newsom signals major increase in electricity costs. And the story says California Governor Gavin Newsom has expressed concern about a Republican reconciliation bill in Washington, in the Senate. It's a budget bill. Concerned about a Republican bill that would raise electricity costs by 30%. The state's focus on renewable energy has reportedly led to an oversupply of solar and wind power. You don't say. The surplus has strained the grid and resulted in Californians paying 140% more in utility bills than residents in other states. Okay, that's correct. We're paying more than other states. How is this Trump's fault? How is this the fault of the Republican bill? You just read it. The headline is Newsom signals major increase in electricity costs. They seem to, give him this platform to, without question, Newsom has expressed concern about a Republican bill. And then they go on to say the costs are all increased because of California policies. The state's focus on the Green New Deal, the greedy new steel, has led to an oversupply of the favored solar and wind power. That has strained the grid and resulted in 140% more in utility bills than residents paying in other states. Newsom said electricity costs could go up by 30%. This is one of the most destructive bills in U.S. history. Pay no attention to what I've done. This is like the devil complaining about sin. Actually, it's the devil complaining about a saint, because the reconciliation bill is trying to fix what is a monumental flaw and problem in the nation's energy policy that Biden and the Democrats imposed, which is they're trying to prop up unsustainable, costly, renewable energy projects with tax credits. And that's what the bill is all about. The bill is about these green tax credits and wind energy subsidies. President Donald Trump has criticized the bill's green tax credits and demanded an end to wind energy subsidies. Trump called for the removal of all wind subsidies and the rest of this junk. He has repeatedly criticized Biden's green energy efforts as ineffective and wasteful. So basically what Gavin Newsom is complaining about is he's not going to get the subsidies to cover the costs of his bad policies. His bad policies mandated that we shut down natural gas plants. We shut down nuclear power. We not actually get cheap, reliable, clean power through those sources, but rather go out and pay a premium, usually 5 to 6 to 7 times per kilowatt hour for wind and solar. And also knowing that wind and solar don't always provide energy, so you have periods during the day where you're dark, where you're not going to have energy. What do you do then? Then you have to buy it from other states and transport it in, and that's very inefficient. These are all his bad policies, his flaws that led to a 140% spike in your bills. What he's saying is if we don't get the subsidy to cover up our mismanagement, that might lead to a 30% increase in your bill. I don't know about you, but 140% increase in your bill versus the 30%, I'd be more ticked off with Gavin Newsom. And more importantly, we shouldn't be getting a subsidy to cover up for his mess. He's saying, they're not going to cover up for my mess anymore. They're bad. How about you don't create the mess, Gavin? How about you reform California's energy markets that are completely dysfunctional and actually give utility rate customers some relief? Again, you go to the Transparency Foundation at thetransparencyfoundation.org. They have a new report up there. Exposes $4.5 billion in hidden state taxes on California utility bills. And then talks about all these mandates that I just referenced, adding even more costs. Gavin Newsom, you could get rid of all of that right now. You could give people relief on utility bills. I do expect that these utility Band-Aid credits at federal taxpayer expense will be eliminated, or at least curtailed. And yes, unfortunately, Newsom plans to pass on the full brunt of his mess to your backs because he's not going to have some of those funds to cover up his mess. Again, who's to blame? Not the reconciliation bill or Trump. Who's to blame? Newsom. There's also some good news, though, that Trump is bringing, and that is in the form of challenging the EV mandate. This is an all-electric vehicle mandate that Gavin Newsom has crammed down our throats, that all cars sold in California have to be electric vehicle by 2035. Now, what will that do? Number one, people don't want all-electric cars. The market doesn't want it, so you're basically cramming it down people's throats, and they don't want it. Number two, it's going to be more expensive because you're going to have all sorts of disruptions in the auto market. We're already seeing the price of cars skyrocket and manipulation happening in terms of what cars dealers are allowed to sell to you. If you're trying to buy even a hybrid or a gas-powered car, let alone a gas-powered car, you're going to end up paying more to subsidize a cheaper price on an electric vehicle because that's what they're pushing. And that's, again, You shouldn't have to pay more for a car to subsidize someone else's car. You should pay for whatever the cost of your car is, not someone else's car. That's what's happening with the EV mandate. But worse than that, by switching from gas to electricity, we don't have the electricity in our grid to charge all these cars. We're going to have a massive failure of our electric grid. And even as we have the potential of losing power and not being able to actually charge up our cars, the cost per kilowatt hour of all that electricity, added electricity, we're going to be paying a premium because we just can't produce enough of it. And so you're going to see tripling and quadrupling of your electricity costs if you're lucky enough to actually be able to get electricity out of your outlets. Again, this is insanity. What's happening? Newsom is on the ropes. His electric mandate has been overturned by the Trump administration. And now, even better, the Supreme Court has said to the private industry that they now have standing and legal pathways to challenge a variety of mandates that Newsom has imposed out here in California. And so this Supreme Court decision just came down in the last few weeks, late June. And I can see a variety of court cases coming out of California challenging some of the crazy and costly unfair policies that Newsom and Democrats have imposed. It's so important for you to understand that your costs are going to go up, but that the liberal lying media, the Sacramento Bee, and Gavin Newsom, the lying governor, the lying politicians, are going to try to blame anyone but themselves for the problems that they've created that now you're going to be forced to pay for. So buckle up. I'm sorry to inform you, your rates are probably going to go up. But don't blame the folks that are trying to wean California off of these unsustainable subsidies for costly wind and solar projects. Blame the California politicians that got us in the mess in the first place. Help us fight back against the insanity of the far left. Go to Reform California and sign up. Get news updates and learn who we're supporting for various offices in your area. We endorse candidates for judge, school board, city council, county board, all the way up to Congress and, of course, the state legislature. We're trying to break the Democrats' supermajority stranglehold on our government here in California. You'll get our voter guide if you sign up, and also you'll be part of our movement to protect Prop 13, reduce taxes, fight these mandates, and get California voter ID implemented in the 2026 election. Sign up on that website, first name, last name, email, phone, and zip code at the bottom of the site. While you're there, please chip in a contribution to help put fuel in our tank, electricity in our grid, to fight these fights on behalf of all Californians. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.